This is Inside Duco, the business of boxing. I'm Stephen Orsbourn, video producer for the New Zealand Herald. Back in 2000, I lived and filmed in the Las Vegas boxing camp with David Tua and Kevin Barry before the heavyweight title fight against Lennox Lewis. I hadn't seen Kevin Barry since the night of Tua's loss. I saw a lot and learnt a lot about the business of boxing, in and outside the ring. That's why I'm interested in the story behind the Duco boys, the verbose Dean Lonergan,
Mate, they got paid more money to fight down here in New Zealand.
and the reclusive David Higgins.
The Tua Cameron fight was first major boxing event.
Why isn't David Tua in the ring? What's been holding up the David Tua scenario?
David will be in the ring in August. David and I and Dean have done quite a lot of talking in the past year, and we had a look back at the last 4 years, and we looked at the way David fought Shane Cameron, the single-minded focus he brought, the level of training, the amount of money spent on training and trainers, the best trainers in the world, the best sparring brought in, and the result of that fight. I mean, he didn't just knock out Shane once, he knocked him out 18 times in a row. It was only the ropes that were holding Shane up. And then we looked at David's performances since then, and it's fair to say he went into the wilderness a bit. And then we analysed what was different, and there was a dropping away of the world-class trainer. There was the fitness condition trainer was not retained. The sparring partners weren't brought in to the same extent. And so it's not rocket science to realise why David wasn't achieving his potential in the last few years. And so we sat down with David and we discussed the past and had a meeting of minds and jointly agreed it was worth another crack. We were clear that it's all or nothing. You know, we wanted a total commitment and a scientific approach to it, like Tua Cameron in 2009, where no expense is spared. And David was on the same page, refreshingly so. He's very straight up about the things I just said and actually in agreement. And so it was agreed that a chunk of the purse will be carved off as a fund, if you like, to get in perfect shape. And so David, over the course of this year, has been training 5-6 days a week with a view to getting in better shape than when he fought Cameron. And he's well on his way. He's ahead of the curve. So come August, a formidable David Tua will be unveiled. He'll be in better shape than when he demolished Cameron, working with Lee Perori, the same trainer as 2009, international boxing trainer coming in and sparring, and he'll be fighting someone in the top 6 in the world. And he knows it's the last roll of the dice. So all he has to do, instead of being tentative, I mean, I think in the recent fights he couldn't change gear. He knew he could knock people out, but the energy levels weren't quite there to pull the trigger. And so in August, the energy levels will be there. All he's got to do is pull the trigger and suddenly he'll be back in the top 5 in the world. And then hopefully the same mistakes won't be made again, which is to languish out of the ring. The idea is fight every 4 months, up, and get right up to #1 contender, then hopefully have another crack.
Because what you've told me there, that's fantastic news to hear that he's going to get back in the ring, is because you've told me all the physical aspects. And that's the thing about David that worries me or concerns me, is it's not physical, it's the mental.
Well,
You need to have a chat with him.
David Higgins has spent a lot of time with Dave Tua over the last 5 months.
Yep.
Probably talking every 2 weeks, sitting down for a good hour and a half at a time. So if anyone knows the mental state of David Tua right now, it's him. And he keeps telling me he's in a great mental space.
He's the easiest
What's different
to talk.
from him?
He's just easy to talk to and refreshingly straight up. Whereas in the past, I might be talking to people around him and not him,
Yes.
or when I talk to him there's other people around, or maybe I felt I wasn't getting straight answers, or, you know, holding things back or joking around. Right now, he's just, there seems to be a weight off his shoulders, and I ask a question, even if I'm worried or think it's a sensitive question, I'll get a direct, honest answer straight back. And there seems to be a meeting of minds around where he's at, what the goal is, how to get there, and he just seems very easy to work with. In my own opinion, he's in the best headspace I've seen him in the past 4 years.
And that's 5 years of relationships?
Because I'll ask you what has changed, and is it because he's had personal issues he's had to deal with? He's had to deal with perhaps not being the David Tua of old. Has he addressed perhaps trying to keep face, trying to keep things. What is making him? What is driving him to do this? Is it?
I think now he's the master of his own destiny. He's dealt with various situations I won't delve into, be it on a personal level, a financial level, a commercial level, a managerial level. He's dealt with situations. He has a clean slate. Maybe for the first time, maybe in 20 years, he's felt like he is his own man. His destiny's in his hands. It's all on his head. And if he succeeds, he will be the benefactor of it. Perhaps not various other parties or whatever. So I think that might be a great weight off his shoulders, and he might, in my opinion, he feels like the master of his own destiny, and so all he's got to do is give it his best shot, and even if he fails, he can look back and say, at age 40, which ain't the end of the road for heavyweight. I think Vitaly Klitschko might be 41. Holyfield and Foreman won the title aged over 45. There's been many heavyweight champions in their 40s. And David has arguably taken a bit less punishment than some others. So at age 40, he's got a final crack. And I think he could retire a happy man if he knows that he gave it his absolute best shot and left nothing outside the ring.
A fit David Tua with the explosive left and perhaps more use of his right. Will you struggle to find the opponent? Is that opponent?
No.
Because no one wants to go against someone who's going to knock him out.
And he's not ranked. So from an opponent point of view...
They don't have to front.
Yeah, from an opponent point of view, David, he's not ranked, so they can't take his ranking. And he's got a dangerous punch. They could knock him out. So he's a very dangerous opponent. That does make it harder. Yeah. Unfortunately, it means Dean and I have to pay more. So it hurts me and Dean more than anyone else.
Money solves these issues, unfortunately.
Everyone's got a figure to fight David Tua, but unfortunately it's higher than
you ask any prize fighter, and I think I was asking Floyd. I was watching Floyd Mayweather the other day, who's undoubtedly and it might have been Larry Holmes as well. What's the reason you get in the ring? They love the sport and all that's well and good, but I'll fight for whoever pays me the most. That's how it works, and that's the only reason we can get a world-class opponent for him.
An opponent might regularly fight for 100k. And they say a ranked opponent, number 3 in the world, might fight in the States for 100k. The idea of fighting David Tua is put to them. They'll say, yeah, I'll fight David Tua, but I want 500k. Why? Because they know Tua connects and they lose their ranking and it's really career damaging.
And that doesn't figure?
Oh, no.
Depends.
Depends on who you're talking to.